Before we get into the April TBR and April reading, I just want to quickly give you all a March reading wrap up. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shubhi. I talk about books, book reviews, book recommendations, reading vlogs, and a little bit of lifestyle here and there on this channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy your time here, and if you do, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video. It would mean the world to me. March is finally over. I feel like it was a year in itself and it was just not ending, but I'm so glad it's over. We are in a fresh new month. It's April. Before we get into the April TBR and April reading, I just want to quickly give you all a March reading wrap up and everything that I read in March. It was not a lot. Like February was a superb month in terms of quantity, but I feel like March was a nicer month in terms of the quality of books that I read. I read only like 4 books, but all of those books were books that I really wanted to read, and mostly fantasy. Like 3 out of the 4 books are fantasy, and I wanted to finish off those series, although one is still going on. I feel like I'm in my fantasy era. I just want to keep reading different type of fantasies, romantasy, fantasy, doesn't matter. But I just want to say stay in that magical, delusional world. So that's where I am. But yeah, let's quickly go on to the books that I read in March. Okay, so the first book that I read was The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. You can't see it because it's reflecting a lot of light, but it is The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, and it was on my TBR. We picked it during our TBR video and it came up on the one of the prompts. So I finished it. I'm so glad I was able to finish off this book. I loved it so much. I loved Stephanie Garber's writing. I really enjoy the world that she created for us. It was so whimsical, so magical. I loved our main characters, that is Jax and Ava. I feel like most of y'all have read this fantasy book and y'all really also like Jax Ava. I am completely obsessed with them. I keep watching their edits and I'm just having the best time ever. Which I'm sure you have understood that I have also read the third book, A Curse of True Love. This also came up on the TBR, so I'm really glad to tick at least 2 books off of the TBR that we picked in March. We picked out, I believe we picked out 5 books, but I was only able to tick off 2 books from that stack, I think, and it's okay. Like, that's what comes with being a mood reader, I guess. I am so glad that I was able to finish off this series. Really happy with it. I'm so glad I read. This is more of a romantasy. So if you don't know about the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, it's about a girl named Evangeline Fox, and the series basically starts off from her. I feel like I read it ages ago, and that's why I'm not able to recall the whatever happened in the first book. But so there's this guy who she really loves, and he's going to marry somebody else. He's going to marry her stepsister, and of course, Evangeline is in love with Luke, which is the guy, and she goes off to this church and she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts to stop this marriage anyhow, and she's ready to bear the consequences of whatever. So he stops the marriage and he asks for 3 kisses in return. So his kisses are magical, of course, and from there on the story progresses. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, yeah, from there on the story progresses, and it's a beautiful story. It's a very beautiful story. That's all that I'm gonna say. You have to read it for yourself. I'm sure you've heard about it or read it. I don't know. Also, would I recommend reading Caraval before reading this trilogy? Yes, I would 100% recommend you reading Caraval if you can. If you can't for whatever reasons, it's okay. Like, I have not read Caraval and I've read the series. I won't say it ruins the experience of reading this trilogy, but it would definitely, if you've read Caraval, that would definitely elevate your experience of reading this trilogy. So, at like I would say about 4 or 5 times, the Caraval series characters are mentioned in the book. So, it would really help if you could, Read Caraval. It's a duology. No, no, it's also a trilogy, I feel like. And there's also a novella associated with it, but it's a trilogy. And so, if you can read the trilogy, go ahead and read the Caraval first before reading this. I'm sure that one is also as magical as this was. So, yeah, these were the two books out of the four books that I read in March. The next book that I read was Mrs. C Remembers by Himanjali Shankar. Now, I read this as a part of the Pan Macmillan's Readathon for Women's Day in March, and needless to say, I loved the story. This is a contemporary fiction or a literary fiction. It's a very short read, but a very impactful at that one. This is the story of a woman named Mrs. Chatterjee, and she kind of has spent her whole life being the ideal wife, the ideal mother. She's cared for her children. She's built a life of, full of routines, how Indian women often do. And now that she's over 60, she's gotten an illness that's making her memory fade away. And as her memory is fading away, she's also unlearning a lot of things that she taught herself or the society taught herself to, live life like. Story is about patriarchy. It's about how important a mother daughter relationship is. How, when a daughter is younger, the mother sort of protects herself from the society and from the family obligations, and how when a daughter grows up and builds a life of her own, she has to protect her mother. And it's a beautiful, beautiful relationship that is shown in this book. I could relate to it so much. I had no idea this would hit so close to home, when I started reading this, but I really enjoyed reading it. It's very impactful. It's definitely going to provoke a lot of thoughts inside your head once you're, finished with the story. A very short book at that. So definitely give this a read. And yeah, I really enjoyed reading this one. So thank you, Pan Macmillan India. Okay, we are already on the last book for March wrap up, which is the fourth book, and it's The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. Again, this is a part of series. This is the second book in the Poppy War trilogy. Oof, loved it to bits and pieces. I feel like I still have not fathomed completely what all happened in this book because so much happened. I feel like this is the longest of all the three books, and I loved reading Poppy War. I read it last year sometime, so I had to watch a recap video of Poppy War, but I oscillated between reading the physical copy and listening to the audiobook while I was doing my chores at home. Just the world that she has built. This is a kind of fantasy that you want to read if you want to start reading more high fantasy books, because this involves a lot of politics, a lot of war, a lot of very heavy topics. Definitely read the trigger warnings because there are plenty. So if you don't know what Poppy War is about, it's about a young girl named Rin, and she's an orphan. She is living with her foster parents and foster sibling, and she comes from a very poor family, poor background, and the her foster parents want to just marry her off to this older man. So she decides to run away, and she gives this crazy, very tough exam called Kaju. And if you pass the Kaju, you get into Senegard. Senegard is an academy that trains students for, higher ranking posts in the military, in the government, all that sort of thing. And it also trains soldiers. So she gives this crazy difficult exam and she somehow gets into Senegard, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And like, so much happens. There's a war happening, multiple wars, if I may say so. The story progresses from there, and just you have to read it to understand. I feel like RF Kwang's writing is so good. Also, this draws parallels from the Chinese history, and amazingly done. Love the characters in this book. Even the side characters are amazing. I feel so attached to our main character Rin and one of the other characters Kitai. I love their relationship in the book. Already started reading The Burning God, which is the third and the last part. I can't wait to see how this book ends, and I wanted to see for myself if I enjoy reading high fantasy books or not. All the political aspect to it, but I have figured out that I really enjoy it. So I'm gonna read more of high fantasy books now. And yeah, definitely give the Poppy War a try if you're interested in fantasy books as well. So these were all of my reads for the month of March. I feel like it was not a lot, as in I did not read like 7 8 books, but I did read quality books. This book, of course, the Dragon Republic, occupied most of my time because it was the thickest of all the 4 books. But yeah, I feel like I had a great time reading these books. I feel like that was all for this video. I am very excited for April and what it has to offer me. So, yeah, do tell me what books you read in the month of March in the comments below. And if you've read any of the books from these, do let me know your thoughts on them as well in the comments. And with that, I'm going to end this video right here. Subscribe to my channel, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.